Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, November 25th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, as always, ready to break down the Saturday slate, which is actually a light Saturday card, which because of yesterday being such a huge card, but still 8 games on tap, and we will break those down. And we also, as mentioned yesterday, we'd have a guest with us today on the show, someone that's been playing in the hockey circles for a very long time, and also just recently competed in something that got a lot of interest, a lot of buzz, I guess you could say, with the Ice Wars. Very, very interested to hear how his experience was with that. Happy to have Bo Cornell, the jawbreaker, Bo Cornell, with us here on the Ice Guys show on this Saturday. Bo, thanks for joining us. How are things with you?
Doing well. I mean, I appreciate you having me on the show, and I'm excited to get rolling with it today. I mean, let's have a good show, talk some good hockey, and have some fun.
You sound like me before I start every show. Let's have a good show. Come on, let's go. I got to always try to convince myself it's going to be a good fucking show sometimes, but especially when I'm in the state that I'm in right now. But nevertheless, that's another story. Tell us, Bo, the hockey's journey. How did it start, and where has it gone for you the last several years?
Hockey? I mean, the same as every Canadian kid, and the whole family loves it. So at some point, you put on the skates and start playing. I played some junior hockey out in BC, and then did my college out at the University of Jamestown in North Dakota. And now I'm just playing senior men's AA hockey in Westlock, having a good season so far. I think we're first in our division. We're just, it's been a fun ride so far, and then another game tonight. So, but no fights this year in the hockey season. So that's I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. Not yet, anyway. There's still time. Give it time.
Lots of time.
I really love Senior A hockey, and I can speak to that truthfully because here, I'm in a suburb of Hamilton. I always say I'm from Hamilton, but I'm actually specifically in Dundas, a suburb of Hamilton. And the Dundas Real McCoys have won the Allen Cup last year. The highest level of Senior A hockey in this country. So, it's very competitive, and it's funny. You see some players that played maybe briefly in the NHL, and now they're in their late 30s, even 40s in some cases, and they're playing Senior A hockey right now. And you see them spread out across multiple teams. But yeah, Dundas Real McCoys, that Senior A team has been institutions, very well supported here in this town. So little JL Greitmeyer Arena. So yeah, definitely I respect the Senior A hockey, or any senior hockey league, by the way. It's just because to me, Bo, and you can speak to this, you truly love the sport. You truly love playing. You truly love the dressing room setting, being with the boys, being on a team. That's what you're in it for when you're playing senior hockey, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first year playing it, and the whole room is just aged guys who've played at some sort of level. Everybody's either played junior college, some guys played some minor pro and stuff, and but everybody they want to be there. They're there to have fun, and they're there to, win some hockey games. But it's more about just keeping in contact with those roots of being in the dressing room, being with the boys, just like you said. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, the Ice Wars, this is something that obviously got there's a lot of clips I saw. I didn't watch a full show, but I saw lots of clips, lots of fight highlights and footage from the Ice Wars, and they've had multiple Ice Wars events over the last couple of years. First of all, let's start with how the hell did you get involved with it?
My older brother loves all this stuff, and when they were asking for people to be Ice Warriors and stuff before the first event, I think he must have messaged me 8-9 times over and over, sending me these links on Instagram and stuff. And then I finally caved and sent in all my clips and videos, and kind of what started it all. Just a couple of Instagram direct messages, and now it's picking up and rolling out. And even my personal life has been a lot different because the first couple events in my home city here in Edmonton, I go out, and then you should go out the next night, have some beers with some buddies, and your face is all bruised and battered, and you definitely run into people who saw you fight. And then it's just, It's like being a small time celebrity. Only on those weekends when I fight, though. I don't.
Right.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. They obviously, if you've seen it, there's like fighting in a little ring, if you will, or an octagon, like similar to UFC. But it's just basically until there's a knockdown or there's a knockout, or is that the way? Because I don't think they have judging there or decisions or anything like that.
Yeah, they got judges and it goes to decision and everything.
Yeah, okay.
They do two 1 minute rounds, but for that 1 minute round, it's only if it's engaged minute. So you're fighting, the guy goes down, they'll pause the clock. You get up, kind of regroup, and then go back at it. And once you're engaged again, they start that time.
Interesting. So there's a bit of organized fight kind of pattern to that. It's not necessarily just the same kind of randomness that you would have with a kind of generic, a hockey fight that is organically set in the midst of playing a game. So that's kind of interesting. So it gives it. Are there elements? Do you train in like MMA or boxing? Are there other elements that you use to kind of help you, in these ice wars?
I started boxing a couple of years ago, actually, and it made a big difference. Just, getting used to having hands coming at your face and stuff. Because in all honesty, when I played junior hockey, I played my first 2 years in a visor. And my last 2 years, I switched us out to cages. So I got pretty comfortable wearing a cage, and it was a little bit different getting punched in the face again. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
So,
bit of a wake up call, yeah. If you're fast asleep, yeah, just get punched right in the bugle. That'll fucking wake you up in a real hurry. There's no question. I actually was punched once. It was a long time. It was actually not even in high school. It was elementary school, where I didn't even think I did anything wrong, but I ended up, saying something that I don't think was that offensive, quite honestly. And someone just lost it and just right there punched me, a bloody nose a little bit. That's it, though. I can say that's the only time I've ever been punched in my life.
The old Mike Tyson line. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face,
Yeah. I didn't have a plan that was going to happen. I'll tell you that. There was no plan that said this little 8-year-old kid's going to punch me in the nose. That's
right.
There's no plan in mind for that. No doubt about that. So good stuff. Do you have anything in terms of that on the horizon, or is it just right now you're just waiting for maybe a call for the next opportunity with that?
I have a contract. I'm just waiting for the next one. We had our last event here in July, and then the owner went through a major surgery, heart surgery. So since he's been on the mend, we're all just kind of waiting, twiddling our thumbs. When's the next fight? So I'm pretty sure all the fighters that are involved in ice wars are excited to get back out there because everybody loves to fight, I guess. And some guys are better than others. Luckily, I've won more than I've lost, so I like to brag about that a little bit. But it's been good. I mean, definitely the whole experience itself. When I first went in, I was about 8-9 years younger than the next guy, and now I'm still holding that similar ground, and the young kid keeps putting these guys in their places. So I want to keep showing that my generation is tough. It's not just, hiding behind a screen all the time, right? So,
right. One more thing for me, have you watched older? I'm sure, obviously, playing hockey, you've watched clips of other fighters, but have you maybe noticed some other things and gone back to watch some clips of maybe Bob Probert or Tiger Williams or some of these other guys to kind of, maybe learn something and something you could use in your own battles?
In all honesty, the guy I watched fighting growing up and I actually really enjoyed, and the reason why I started doing it through juniors and all that was Brian McGrattan.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Of course, you're a little younger, so yeah, more recent.
Right.
Yeah, Brian McGrattan, what a tough
guy.
That was.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yes.
So then nowadays, I like in the NHL today. I mean, Delorier out in Philly, he's fun to watch too. I mean, I think he had 12, 13 fights last year, which if you said that 20 years ago, people would be like, "Oh, that's nothing." But in today's game, I'm pretty sure he was first or second in the NHL for majors, anyways. So.
I did a poll last year, a top 5 list. I have him as my, he's the champ. He's the undisputed champion in the league as far as I'm concerned, as far as fighting goes these days in the NHL.
Nicholas Delorier, he's got to be one or two. Has to be. You know what? I'm disappointed though. He's in Philly now, in the Eastern Conference now, because you look at it. Nick Delorier always used to be in the division with Colorado. Him and McDermott would go at it a lot.
Oh yeah,
and he'd have these big time rivalries. And Curtis McDermott's another one with Colorado. Pretty damn tough as well. And him and Delorier would always drop the gloves quite a bit. Look, we respect Ryan Reeves, certainly. He's right up there too. But I don't know. Delorier's just one heck of a strong fighter. I think, you know what, he's a little better on his feet, a little better on his skates than Reeves. I find sometimes with Reeves, he's slipping and sliding a little bit when he's trying to grab on to his opponent. Whereas I think he's a little more steady on his skates when he's in a fight in combat. Delorier. Yeah.
And it's interesting, Ian, you made a good point, and Bo, you were saying about with Brian McGrattan, but it's interesting, it would make sense for a competition like Ice Wars. You would probably be looking toward more newer fighters because, like I said, that style changes. Fights in now when they hit the ice, where back then you had guys that could pop up and, you know, take their jerseys off and go back for a second round, essentially. So I guess, that makes sense that you would be looking towards some of the guys, you know, in this current century that fight because they work more on leverage and positioning. So that's a good point, Ian.
No, I mean, like, obviously everybody knows the Morasti fights and, you know, like Alex Gallant and all those. And even in the summer times, I train with a couple of LNAH guys. And I mean, those are some different breeds out there. Let's be real.
You learn how to get tough and fight in a hurry with those guys, hanging with them. Yeah.
I spent my last summer working with Curtis Swanson. I think he went to the LNAH and he was like 20. He went from like junior B to there, and he wasn't playing hockey. He was fighting guys and played right through the lockout. He was fighting some big time names, and he kind of really centered me on what a hockey fight is versus just going in there and who can throw harder. So it was real nice to learn from experienced guys like that. So
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. I want to there's the comment I was looking for. Taylor apparently is close to where Bo is in Edmonton. You play senior around Edmonton, Bo. We may play each other at some point, if so. All right, there you go. Taylor Bischoff, one of our viewers and listeners, plays senior in that area. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I don't even know if Edmonton has a team in our league. We got 8 teams. I'm playing out in Westlock. So the closest team to the city would be Devon, Alberta, I think.
Yeah.
Played them a few times. And no, I think I'm off to Bonnyville tonight. So that'll be a first game against them. So maybe I will play him. Depends where he's at. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, what do you think before we get to the NHL stuff? What do you think about Arbor Jacki from Montreal? Because I think this guy is probably going to be that next. Yeah, Wi-Fi. Exactly. He played here in Hamilton with the Bulldogs. I
love watching that guy play hockey. If I had to say my game was like anything else, he would be like the picture of how I play hockey. You know, you're not always the fastest or the fastest or, you know, the best hands, the best shooter or anything, but big, strong, make your own space, make your own time. And if somebody gets in your way, just see you later. Now give me space, give me time, make a play. So he's rising up the ranks. Yep. So he's definitely rising up the ranks, Arbor Jacki. No question about that. He is going to be one of the, you know, best fighters and heavyweights in the league now for as long as he stays in the league, no doubt. Yes, someone asking in the chat someone does know you. Someone in the chat, Bo Cornell, is this the guy from Ice Wars? It is indeed him. That is true. See, there is a certain aura of celebrity that comes with being in that. I see what you mean now a little bit. Oh, wow, I didn't even know you could look at. I didn't even know there's comments on this. That's tough. Go. My bad.
Yeah, you just click comments and there's all our viewers and listeners. Yeah, it's quite the shit show trying to keep them in line sometimes. But nevertheless, no question about that. But yeah, that's the peanut gallery, as we like to call them. But no doubt, no, they're a peanut gallery we love because we can't do the show without them tuning in, watching and listening. So transitioning to NHL stuff, Bo, you were saying before we started, you're living near Edmonton right now, but you're a Calgary Flames fan. So how is that going with the locals there in that area? Hey, you've got the better team right now, so enjoy it.
In all honesty, I mean, going to work on a daily basis, I definitely get ripped on for being a Flames fan. But like you said, with my team's a little bit better, so at least I could, you know, and tell them to leave me alone. But at the end of the day, I mean, it would be nice to see at least one Alberta team doing well because nobody wants to be at the bottom, especially your entire province of NHL teams. So, because at the end of the day, I mean, as much as a Flames fan I am a hockey fan. And it'd be nice you'll be able to slide into my local NHL team and watch some good hockey. But I can't go to any NHL rink in Alberta and watch good hockey right now. So that's kind of tough.
Yeah, that is kind of tough right now. You're right. And we will get to both of those teams because we are going to do our recap of what we saw yesterday in NHL action for a very, very busy Friday. It started with a big-time 5-2 upset, I guess you could say, of the Detroit Red Wings over the Boston Bruins. A very impressive win for Detroit. I was worried about this scheduling situation, though, for Boston off the 2 games down in Florida. And credit to the Red Wings. Capitalized on their chances, did a good job defensively against the Bruins. Good start in net from Husso, and it ended up being a 5-2 win for the Red Wings there. Rangers with a very solid 3-1 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. As the Flyers now come back down to earth, dropping 2 in a row. What a job. I don't know who the hell had Jason Dickinson getting a hat trick on their things that were going to happen on Friday NHL action. But Jason Dickinson for the Blackhawks gets a hat trick. All 3 goals in regulation for them. And then Kevin Korchinski takes advantage of a bounce off the end glass, top of the net, falls right to the side, and he sees the puck before anyone else and puts it in for the game winner in overtime, and a hell of a win for Chicago, 4-3 in overtime. I felt they got stronger, and the Leafs definitely, I think, ran out of steam a little bit longer that game went on after the first game from Sweden. But credit to Chicago. Nice win there. Easy wins for both Alex and I, whether it was first period over, full game over. Couldn't have been easier with Nashville and St. Louis. 8-3 Predators. What a beatdown by Nashville, who are all of a sudden scoring tons of goals in bunches right now. And they did so once again yesterday. The Devils, man, this is where I start to get more concerned. I mean, that's supposed to be a response spot after what Lindy Ruff said after the Detroit game, which was a bad game for them, and you lose at home 2-1 to Columbus. That's where you have to start getting concerned right now with the Devils, and that's a tough loss to stomach. 2-1 against Columbus. Edmonton, look, we've shit on them. Everybody has. We've all laughed at them. I get it, but let's give Edmonton credit yesterday. Probably their best game of the season. I mean, I saw a good chunk of that game. They were good in their own end. There was no fuck-ups. There was nobody caught out of position, no turnovers with the puck. And more importantly, they got some saves finally from our guy, Stuart Skinner. He finally got a save for made some saves for the Oilers. So that was their best game in ages, maybe of the season. But as I said on Twitter, an X yesterday, doesn't matter if they're going to give it back the next game. They have to turn yesterday into a win streak and get on a roll. Okay, because they can't go 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They've dug themselves a big enough hole in a tough conference where they have to get on a bit of a win streak, and we'll see if that is a game that gets them out of their doldrums. But very impressive, 5-0 shutout win over the Washington Capitals in that game. LA 5-2 over Anaheim. Duck struggles continue. Kings with the nice win. Montreal 3-2 in a shootout over San Jose. Buffalo 3-2 against Pittsburgh. Great job by the Sabres. What a rally in the third period. That's why I know there's something. I know the Sabres have a good team in them. It's just never with any consistency. But they showed you again last night what they're capable of. And that was a nice comeback, 3-2 against Pittsburgh. Islanders 5-3 winners over the Ottawa Senators. Over there was a good bet. The Ottawa Senators, unfortunately, were not struggling to keep the puck out. How about my call with Tampa Bay? Plus 155. They not only beat Carolina, they beat them down. That was a demolition. 8-2 in the return for Andrei Vasilevsky, his first game of the season, and the Lightning just dummy the Carolina Hurricane. You don't see Carolina lose like that, especially at home, very often. When's the last time they've been embarrassed on their home ice? My goodness. 8-2. What a brutal night. Maybe one of the most historically bad statistical games for a starting goaltender when you look at Ronta's numbers last night. Ronta with a 6 or 8 goal allowance on 14 shots and that glistening .429 save percentage last night in that game. Holy shit. My gosh, 8 goals allowed on 14 shots. They were shooting at more than 50% of their shots went in the net last night. The Tampa Lightning, unreal. So just one of the worst nights imaginable for any goaltender, especially one that's been around like Antti Ranta. So absolutely terrible night for him, but a hell of a night. And look, it was the big guns last night. Point went off, Kucherov went off, Stamkos went off, and Tampa Bay, that was very impressive last night over Carolina, 8-2. Winnipeg, 3-0 against Florida. I said yesterday on the show, I liked Winnipeg if Hellebucks went in, but I made a huge mistake. Look, you're not going to be able to remember to say everything about a game, what an omission it was on my part to fail to mention on the show yesterday that it was Rick Bonus's return behind the bench for the Winnipeg Jets last night. And I said, man, and once I heard that, I'm like, geez, I could put a little more on Winnipeg, because how are they going to lose that game? How are they going to look themselves in the mirror? We got Rick Bonus back from behind the bench after dealing with almost losing his wife, with the seizure she suffered. And they're going to go balls to the wall to win that game against Florida. And that's exactly what they did. Brilliant performance from Hellebuck, 33 save shutout, 3-0 in Bones' return to behind the bench for the Winnipeg Jets last night. Great job by them. And then quickly, the other games last night, man, there were a lot of games. We're going to speak about it. I'll let Bo talk about it in a minute. Calgary Flames, his Flames, holy mackerel, 7-4. Comeback win against the Dallas Stars. Man, this is twice now in a week at home. Dallas has had a big lead and pissed it away. I mean, that's concerning. Jake Ottinger, concerning. He was in net both times in those games. So as much as we love this guy, he's had these little moments where he's got to reel it back in and find his game again. And he's let it slip a little bit. The Colorado game at home, and then again last night, just a really tough night for the Stars in their own end. Again, 4 goals allowed in the third, and it turns a 4-3 third period lead for Dallas into a 7-4 loss. Colorado adds to the misery for Minnesota, a 3-2 win. We just fell short with Big Val Nichushkin over 1.5 points. He did score a goal, which I still bet that, and got 1 point, but not the 2 we needed. But Colorado gets the 3-2 win, and props to the Canucks. Bounce back for them after a couple losses in a row as they handle business. Very impressive, workmanlike 5-1 road win for Vancouver last night against Seattle. Whew, man, that was a lot of games yesterday. I'm worn out after that recap. Alex, we'll start with you. Thoughts on whatever you want to talk about from yesterday.
Well, we got to start with the day game, Chicago, with that great comeback. And we talk about Toronto blowing leads all the time. That's not the shocking part. The thing that's shocking is that the Hawks showing that resiliency at home. Tough start time, day after the holiday, everybody was home. Jason Dickinson, a guy who, Ian, you've heard me talk about this since the Hawks acquired him. I said, this guy's got the offensive talent. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more persistent. And he was certainly that, providing all of the offense and regulation for the Hawks, despite a couple of soft goals, once again from Arvid Soderblom in net. Like I said, but finding ways to stay in the fight, stay in the game. And then in overtime, that controlled chaos. I love what the Hawks do when they're struggling offensively nowadays. Rather than shell up and try to focus more on defense, they deconstruct things. If you look at their breakout, it looks like something out of just a video game. It's just straight neutral. Everybody's just skating in their own zone. They're not doing anything crazy until they get inside the blue lines, and then they start cycling around. You watch the cycle and how they scored that goal, Korchinski. And of course, with the craziness with it bouncing off the back of the glass. But where they're positioned in just that 3-man cycle, I love that. I call it controlled chaos. I don't know what they refer to it as, but I like that. Disrupt the patterns of the defense and then create your own open passing lanes, your own open shooting lanes. When you have talented guys like a Connor Bedard, Kevin Korchinski, you can do that. So I loved everything about the comeback and the win of that game for the Hawks. Toronto, like I said, it's just one of those things. Toronto's going to do that probably 10 more times the rest of the season. Looking at that Minnesota-Colorado game, another game I was watching closely, obviously. Minnesota's just in a world of trouble right now. And, Dean Evison, heard him in the press conference last night, and you can just tell in his voice, he's lost that room. He's officially lost that room, and I really don't know why at this point he's still there. There's nothing that this team can do right now. The Hawks win Sunday, they will actually leapfrog over Minnesota. Minnesota would be the 29th team in the league. They would be 29 out of 32. So it's bad. It's bad here in St. Paul, and they need to fix something quickly. Coaching would have to be the first thing, but it's more than that. It's deeper than that. That locker room is a bit disjointed as well. It's the same thing we're seeing in Edmonton, same thing we were seeing in Calgary and a lot of other places. They got issues they need to solve, and it's unfortunately going to have to start with a change at the top sooner than later. A couple more games to look at. Like I said, Nashville. Only thing I say about that first period overrun that keeps on going is I like it. I love it, and I want some more of it. He said big blowout win against St. Louis.
You said about Calgary first period overs too. How easy was that?
About them too? Yeah, that's another easy one. Calgary and Nashville, 2 teams right now that have gigantic green circles around them in my notes because it's first period overtrain rolling with both those teams. So definitely love to see that. And the New York Philly game, we're on the air watching that, bits and pieces of that, and kind of watched a little bit of that late last night because I wanted to kind of get a feel of what I'm expecting for the Rangers and Boston coming up, which should be in about less than 30 minutes here.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And that one is going to be the first game when we lead off our Saturday games. Before we get to the Saturday games, Bo, talk about your Flames, man. You're a little more confident now. They're playing a little bit better. What a win that was for them last night against Dallas to come back. Do you have confidence? Do you have belief now that, hey, we can get the season back on the tracks and maybe make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna dump on my own team here, but the first period I was a little bit worried right out the gate, minute and a half, minute in, and Dallas goes and tucks one right away. And I was like, oh, great. It's another one of those nights. But you keep watching. I mean, we bounce back. AJ Greer ended up tucking one about halfway through the first with a quick response from Robertson. And, a little disappointing because obviously the Flames haven't been hot. But once the second period rolled around and we tied it up pretty early, right out the gate, boom. Even hockey game, I was getting excited. I'm like, these are the Flames that we're kind of used to, almost like the 2015 Flames when they were best in the West there. And then, and I was completely wrong. I judged it way too early because we gave up 2 back-to-back right away. And it's always tough when you're cheering for a team. But that third period was incredible. I mean, they woke up. I don't know what team I was watching there. They just came out and they dominated the entire third period. I mean, all around the board, scoring, physicality was there, and
winning all the battles.
Fun. So keeping it real simple, just one shift at a time, buy into the system, and they won. So,
who's made a difference for them? Who's made a difference for them? He had a 3-point night last night. Alex, I think, talked about. I think Alex and I have both used the guy too, and for props and for bargain bin segments. Igor Sharangovich had a 3-point night last night for Calgary. This guy has great skill, great talent offensively. New Jersey didn't want to part with him, but when you trade for a Tyler Toffoli, you got to give up someone good, and they had to give up Sharangovich. Yeah.
He's been absolutely awesome for the Flames. It's been like he's stepped in and he's that difference maker right out the gate, right? So big night last night. So hopefully he can keep that trend going. We got a big matchup tonight, so we need those guys playing big like they did last night.
Yeah, he has incredible hands. Just watching his last few games, like I said, we both had picks on him as bargain bin over the week, but he's definitely a guy who's going to have that breakout. Kind of like how we saw with Mangiapane, having that breakout. I think he's due for a huge run points wise. He's somebody I'm definitely gonna have circled for player props moving forward.
Yeah, no question. I would agree with that 100%. He is definitely going to be someone that we're going to have to look more at with props because he's starting to really get going and heat up right now for the Calgary Flames. All right, we've got 8 Saturday games taking place today in the NHL, and we're going to start with a game that's going to be dropping the puck in about 30 minutes from now. The Boston Bruins and New York Rangers, an early afternoon game. Boston minus 120, road favorites at Madison Square Garden. 5.5 being the total here in this game. Both of these teams, with all these situations, you've got pretty much majority of teams playing yesterday as well. Boston losing at home to Detroit 5-2. The Rangers beating the Philadelphia Flyers 3-1 yesterday in that game. So we'll see how both of these teams fare here. It is worth noting the Bruins still to this part of the season have yet to drop 2 straight games, have yet to lose 2 straight games this season. So it's really that simple for me. I'm going to take Boston here, minus 120. It's just a mechanical routine, awful loss bet for the Boston Bruins, where it's just been like clockwork, whether last year or whether 2 years ago, last year so far this year, I should say, that the Boston Bruins have just been almost automatic coming off a loss. And obviously, they're not very thrilled with the way things went yesterday against the Detroit Red Wings. It was an even game in shots, but I just felt that Detroit was getting the inside part of the ice, getting the puck more to the areas where you need to score goals. And it was definitely not the best performance from the Boston Bruins. So we'll see how they fare here in this one against the Rangers. By the way, as far as back-to-backs are concerned, they've played a back-to-back situation, I believe, just once this year, and they won on the second night of back-to-backs. when they were in LA 4-2. They were in Anaheim the next night, and they won that game as well, 3-1. So they're 1-0 on a back-to-back this year, the Boston Bruins as well. So that's really all it comes down to for me. It's just Boston off a loss at any reasonable price, and I consider this a reasonable price. I'm interested. So Boston minus 120 here for me. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Rangers.
Yeah, so like I said, I mentioned it at the end of my recap that we went back and watched the end of that Rangers Flyers game just to kind of see what we would potentially be getting here today. Like I said, I feel like, this is definitely a spot where I would be backing Boston, but not necessarily for the full game. I'm just taking a shot here with them on the first period puck line. Laying a half a goal, I got plus 180. Caesars, like I said, I have the best number for some of those first period puck lines. And looking back just at the history with these two teams, the last 5 meetings, Boston's 4-1. But each of those 5 meetings, Boston has gotten out of the first period with exactly a 1-0 lead. So that's something I might be taking a shot with too. Boston 1-0 first period exact score. That's and usually I don't dabble on things like that, but I think I can get a good enough price. I'm gonna look a little bit deeper into that. But BetMGM, that's something I've circled. I'm gonna take a shot with exact score. Bruins leading 1-0 after 20 minutes.
All right, there you go. Exact score prop for Alex here with Boston, and also liking them in the first period puck line. Yeah, it is good value, that first period puck line as well. I might even sprinkle a couple shekels on that, even though I'm already on Boston minus 120. For props, Pasta was very quiet yesterday, so it kind of makes me think he'll be better today. I get why people like David Pastrnak to score, but I'm going to stick to Zacha and Coyle, the top 2 centers. Zacha's been consistent. Coyle is starting to heat up if you look at his offensive production the last 4 games. So I think those are 2 good prop looks for the Bruins. Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle in this game as well. Bo, what do you think here? Boston, New York.
That's definitely a toss-up because, like you said, Boston kind of had a tough night last night, right? Giving up a loss there. But I got to go Rangers all the way, in all honesty. They're probably my favorite team in the East, and that's me speaking as a fan, not as a bettor. So don't want to throw anything in the way too far. But Zibanejad's been on fire, and Quick ending up in New York. He's been standing on. He's been playing well. He's got 5 wins already coming out the year. So I think New York is just going to keep rolling. I've been enjoying their hockey this year, and definitely a team to watch, I'd say.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with Jonathan Quick starting for me. People will say, you're fading Quick. No, Quick's been great. Jonathan Quick's been phenomenal. I'm betting Boston in this spot today if Igor Shesterkin is in net. So it's about, I want the Bruins off a loss in any sort of reasonable price. When you don't have to lay minus 150 or minus 200, it's just go and look. Go and look at this hockey team this year. They haven't lost 2 in a row. Go and look at last year during the regular season. You can count on one hand how many times that team lost 2 games in a row. They've just been that good, the Boston Bruins, off a loss since the start of last year, which is, of course, when Jim Montgomery took over. So that's what it comes down to for me as to why I like the Bruins here in this one. All right, the other game, and it's the only other afternoon game on the Saturday card, Montreal and Los Angeles. We've got the Kings minus 280 home favorites in this game, 6.5 the total in this one. Both of these teams in action, of course, yesterday. Kings continue what's been a great role for them. Montreal, LA Kings playing some absolutely terrific hockey. They beat Anaheim 5-2 yesterday in that game. Montreal, hard game against San Jose, maybe not as easy as some thought, but they prevail in a shootout, winning against San Jose 3-2. So both teams victorious in their respective games yesterday. We'll see how they fare here in this one. LA now coming off a divisional game back home against, team that may not excite them. I'd be concerned a little bit about laying a price like this. And this is the time of year where you could see upsets, in the NHL. We certainly saw a couple yesterday. There's no question. But at the same time, LA is playing really good hockey. It's very, very difficult to step in front of them. They've also beaten Montreal 4 straight times as well. So, yeah, this is just a clear pass for me, side-wise. Totals-wise, there is a chance we're going to see probably it'll be either Montembeault or Allen for Montreal because they have 3 goalies, so you can never be sure who it's going to be. Probably Montembeault, if I had to guess, because we saw Caden Primo yesterday. There's a chance it's Phoenix Copley on the back-to-back after Cam Talbot started against Anaheim. And my thoughts on Copley. He hasn't been Alex can definitely speak to this as the goalie chart guru. There is a drop off in performance this particular season between Talbot and Copley. So there is definitely a difference between them right now. So I might get there with over in this game, 6.5, because the Kings are scoring right now. Their offense is really in good form. Fiala, Kopitar, they're getting different contributions every night from different players. Byfield's starting to step up for them as well. Kaliev's chipping in. It's been very impressive the way they've scored goals lately. So I do lean over if Copley's in. Alex, what do you think here? Montreal, LA.
Yeah, this is going to be I have the circles alive game. First period over, full game over. I'm waiting for 5.5, laying a price, and I'm waiting for 1.5. I also laying a price. Definitely not trying to screw around and wait a little too long for the plus money here, but definitely want to get a better number adjusted here. Like you said, especially with Copley, he has struggled. I'll be updating the goalie charts either this evening or tomorrow after tomorrow's games. Right now, I have it, and these two goalies were even at the beginning of the year, Talbot and Copley. Now I have Talbot as a 15-cent, possibly even 20-cent difference. So Copley definitely has regressed back to his kind of AHL form that we've seen. And with Montreal, if you have 3 goalies, you don't have one, so it doesn't matter who's in net for them. I still like that over.
All right, Alex liking the over there as I have a coughing fit in the background, but we're okay. Bo, what do you think here at Canadiens Kings?
Montreal, I mean, even 500 hockey this year. They're up and they're down, but LA's been hot. I mean, last couple of weeks of how many wins in a row do they got right now? I think they've been on a roll. So
yeah, they're on a nice roll, 5 in a row. Yep.
5. Okay, that's more than I can remember. So let's keep it going. I think they're going to keep rolling. I mean, like you said, Copley might have a tough night. I mean, he's not like he's having the best outing this season, but he's got a team in front of him that's been scoring, and like guys like Byfield have stepping up. So I think LA all the way. Just when a team's hot, you got to bet on the hot team. That's about it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. LA's playing well. They've got 4 in a row. By the way, 4 in a row is the current win streak. 8-2, by the way, in their last 10 games. They've definitely done well. Like I said, I mean. But at home, early in the year, they were going over the total at home. Now they've really reeled it in defensively. They have been really, really good defensively. They've been an under machine as well. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned about, liking the over in this game based on that. But I don't know if they're going to have that same defensive intensity going from Anaheim, a divisional foe, a rival, to Montreal. I could see them just dipping a little bit on the defensive end just for one day, LA. And plus Copley in net. So I still think the over might be worth a look in this one. Okay, so all right, next up we've got, as we continue along, we've got Toronto and Pittsburgh. Toronto minus 120 road favorites. The total 6.5 in this game. This is an interesting one here. Both teams lost yesterday. Toronto losing to Chicago. Pittsburgh losing to Buffalo. So both of these teams in a little bit of a bounce back mode here for this game. You've also got the Kyle Dubas narrative. Someone said on radio earlier yesterday that is there any bit of the Leafs that care about, Dubas is on their team now. We want to beat him. I don't know. They really like Dubas. I mean, the players, he paid them all these ridiculous salaries. They should like him. They should be kissing his damn feet for paying him the money that they gave. To Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares especially, who's still, off that incredible contract of his. So, they should be grateful. They should be loving Kyle Dubas. They shouldn't be like, he's the Pittsburgh's GM now. We want to beat him. I don't think that plays too much into it. That being said, this is what Toronto does, right? They lose to an inferior team. Now they're playing a little bit better team, and they'll step up after a loss, probably win. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So I don't love it, but I lean Toronto. I like the over here, though, 6.5. I think we're going to see goals in this one. You look at the Penguins struggling a little bit defensively. Toronto is the same way right now. I could definitely see that. Woll is going to be a net for Toronto, and I like the kid. And he's, for the most part, he's played well, but not nearly as well. If you look at some of his recent starts, he's actually given up 4 goals or more, Joe Woll, in 4 of his last 6 starts. So he's not nearly been as sharp as he was. He's going to be a good one. But, he's going to have his bouts of inconsistency, still a very young goalie. And on the flip side, Jari should be in net for the Penguins after we saw Nedeljkovic last night. Keep in mind, it's a banged up blue line on both sides, especially Pittsburgh. So that's another reason why I like the over here a little bit, 6.5. Alex, what do you think, Leafs and Penguins?
Yeah, I like this over, and this is one I can't wait for. This is one I'd have to play it now at 6.5. Like you mentioned, there's banged up blue lines on both ends. Joseph Wall, for like I said, as good as he's been, and he's going to be, like I said, solid goaltender, but he's having a bit of regression. Where Tristan Jarry, look at his numbers, he's already 6-8, and the first of his 5-year deal, still sticking around in Pittsburgh, and there's a difference of yeah, he's a veteran, but he's not that good to where okay, this is a young guy, we can give him a leash, give him some time. That all being said, like I said, with both teams coming off the back-to-back and coming off of losses, I like the draw here. I grabbed that at FanDuel at plus 360s. I feel like this is going to be a tight back-and-forth battle because of the fact that we saw these two teams coming off of losses. They play a little bit tighter off of a loss, especially Toronto. Like I said, having some sloppy play from Samsonov. So there'll be emphasis for not just Wall to play better, but the defense in front of him to play a little bit better. So I think we see goals back and forth, but I do think this is where it's tight enough to where we see it go past 60. So maybe I've been on this whole correct score kick a little bit today, maybe 4-4 for a correct score sprinkle or something like that. I can definitely see this game kind of having a back and forth. And that's the same pace with Toronto on Saturdays, right? We always see them maybe go out to, down, a goal or have a 2-1 lead. And then you just see goals going back and forth in the second period. So if you're circling for something live, a second period over or second period, both teams to score or something I'll have, and I'll put that in the community tabs. That's something I'm looking at for live plays with this game. So, Bo, what are you looking at in this matchup? Leafs and Penguins hockey night in Canada, Bill?
In all honesty, I don't think I've watched enough hockey of both these teams to have a solid statement. But, I would say Toronto, they got a couple guys that can score. So I'd bank on, Nylander rolling the same way he's been. He's had a hot season so far.
Quiet yesterday. Yeah, the whole bunch of them were quiet. Matthews and Marner did nothing yesterday. Nothing.
Yeah, but if those guys, those scores, that's got to get in their head, If you go quiet for a couple nights, they're going to have a big night eventually. It might not be tonight, it might be tomorrow. You never know. But, I don't know if I've watched enough of either of these teams to have a strong statement. But I'll definitely go with Toronto just because, I like the guys. I like the young squad up front. They go put some goals in. And, that's all. I don't know enough about these teams. I haven't watched them, to be honest.
It's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
That's fair enough. I have one more thing, too, and mention with the Dubas thing. I think the Dubas thing would probably be bigger if he were to show up and be in the locker room pregame and maybe give the message. Maybe that's the way that you could have a Dubas angle work out for you. I don't think it means anything for the Leafs. Like you said, yeah, he's the reason they all got paid. But for the Penguins, I think that's the way you use that little motivation. Have him give the speech, not Sullivan or any of the coaches. Have him come down there tonight, and maybe that'll spark that team a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a good point. It'll be interesting. Interesting game for sure. Fun game. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out tonight. Leafs and Penguins. Both teams have just been all over the map this year. That's a good way to put it with both Toronto and Pittsburgh. All right, next up, we've got Buffalo and New Jersey. What is going on with the Devils? This is struggles continue. Pretty good lambasting from Lindy Ruff after the loss against Detroit, and it really didn't do much, to help this team in their last game. And now they play Buffalo, New Jersey, minus 170, home favorites. Total in this one, 6.5. I'll tell you what, for me, this is going to be an underdog and draw split for me. I just think, I've seen enough now with New Jersey. One bad game against Detroit, I get concerned. Now you played 2 shit games in a row, including a loss at home to Columbus, who's been brutal lately, although now they've won 2 in a row. Credit to them, but you shouldn't be losing that game. And there's just something off with this team. Really, their offense has kind of gone asleep, too. They've just scored 1 goal now in the last 2 games, and that's with Jack Hughes back. So all kinds of issues right now for New Jersey. They just don't deserve to be favored by this much. To me, that's what it boils down to. Not until they get their form back. It's going to be Schmid probably in goal tonight, but who cares at this point? They're interchangeable, and neither of them has really had it. Or Vanacek tonight, they're interchangeable. Neither one's had a great season. They're getting more and more injuries as well. They're still without Meyer. Curtis Lazar, who's actually been a nice little hard-working spark for them, he might not even play tonight. Sabres, that showed me something. The nice guts last night to come back, beat Pittsburgh 3-2 at home. Should see Levi tonight because we saw Luukkonen in goal last night for the Sabres. So I think it's a live underdog. And to me, this is just New Jersey's current form should not equate to minus 170, in my opinion. And yes, he's here for sure. He's here for sure. They clearly missed that guy, one of the best two-way centers in the NHL. Just, a lot face-offs. Face-offs matter, and he wins a lot of them. Defensive play away from the puck from the forward position matters, and he gives them all that. So, and by the way, Buffalo's been a tough out for New Jersey as well in recent head-to-head meetings. So there's enough here to pull the trigger with Buffalo, especially at this price. Potential live underdog situation here in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Sabres and Devils.
Yeah, I'm going with the old both teams to score in the first period, plus 140 at BetMGM. And it's funny you mentioned about Vanacek and Schmidt being interchangeable. Yeah, there's a 10-cent drop-off between Vanacek and Schmidt. I think Vanacek's slightly ahead of him, but it's not necessarily because both goalies are good. It's because, like I said, both goalies are pretty much mid. So it doesn't matter who's in net with them. You can kind of, there shouldn't be any kind of variable, total or otherwise, side or otherwise, with either goaltender for the Devils. But I'm just going to keep it simple. Hope for both teams to score in the first period. I think it's a good price at plus 140. Yeah. But
right,
what do you like?
What, Buffalo, New Jersey here?
Yeah.
I've enjoyed watching New Jersey a little bit this year. Obviously, those two, Jack Hughes is having a good start to the season there early in the year. His brother Luke, I'm pretty sure he's in the top few rookies scoring right now. I think he's doing real well. So
he's doing well.
But on the other hand, Devin Levi, is definitely hit and miss in net. Young goalie out in Buffalo. If you look at his college stats out in Northeastern, he was one heck of a goalie. He had a couple big games last year. Yeah. But this year, doesn't look the same as he was in the first 2 games of his NHL career. Definitely a little more shaky, a little less dependent, I guess, less consistent. But, I never want to count him out because he is young. He's still got a lot to learn, a long career in front of him. So I would love to say Buffalo is struggling this game, but I think they might pull out a win if Levi can play to his expectations. But if he's been playing how he has been the last little while, I think I'm going to go New Jersey.
Yeah, and Bo, that's the thing we've been talking about for a while too, in the regards with Levi and the goaltending situation for Buffalo. We know he's going to be good. He's the goalie of the future, but he's got to get his feet wet now. That kind of trial run he had at the end of the year, that's one thing. Now, being around the guys, being there every day, going through the ups and downs of an NHL season, especially with a team that's looking to be on the brink of possibly a playoff contender. Yeah, it's something that we're definitely watching him grow in real time. And that's the reason why I was so adamant saying that, they should have gotten a higher quality veteran to back him up, a guy like Eric Comrie or a guy who hasn't really proven his mettle like a Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. That's a tough group to kind of learn around, where even last year, those last 2 weeks, he at least had the end of the Craig Anderson era and having a veteran guy in his ear for those last month or so. So that makes a big difference. So that's something we talked about with Buffalo for sure.
By the way, we've got some back-to-back stats that favor Buffalo. Buffalo, I believe, 2-1 on a back-to-back. New Jersey's winless on a back-to-back this year. So there you go. Sabres have been the better team on back-to-back games this year. We'll see if that translates as well into tonight. All right, next up, we've got Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders. Islanders minus 150, home favorite, 6 to the under in this game. I'm going to go for it again, because I feel I'm going to be pissed if I don't bet Flyers and draw tonight after taking it with these two teams earlier this week when the Islanders beat the Flyers. So that's what I'm going to go with here is Flyers and draw one more time here. By the way, Flyers 2-1 on a back-to-back. Islanders winless this year on a back-to-back. So here's another situation where Flyers have been better on back-to-back games this year. And I still, look, Islanders have won a couple games in a row now. Credit to them, showing some signs of steadying the ship. And yes, they beat the Flyers just recently at home earlier this week. But if anything, Flyers, I think, bring a little more fire to the table here. Islanders, a satisfying win flying back from Ottawa last night. Philly lost to the Rangers. Shorter travel for Philly, believe it or not, to get to this game tonight against the New York Islanders. So when it's all said and done, didn't work out the other night earlier this week with Flyers Islanders. I took Flyers in the draw in that game when the Islanders were coming back home off the West Coast. But I'm going to go back to the well here. Flyers and the draw split here in this one. Alex, Flyers Islanders.
Yeah, it's believe it or not, I'm going with the first period over. here. And these are two teams that I usually don't rush to the window to try to bet first period over. Certainly the Islanders, like I said, the defense has just been kind of a bit of a breakdown, and getting some offense as well. We're seeing this team cashing with some of these first period overs. Philly's kind of the same thing. We saw them give up those first couple of goals very quickly yesterday against the Rangers. So that was a cash if you had that first period over. So it's a cheap enough price. I've seen it as low as $1.19 in some of the Canadian books. So some of you guys up north are getting better prices than I am. I got it at minus $1.25. I'm going with the first period over. I think this definitely could be where maybe we also get a shot possibly to look at a live under late. That's something I have done with Islander games where I bet that first period over and try and wait for a 7.5 and then wait for that number to come back around plus money as things slow down in the second period or even a 6.5. So that's kind of it's more of a live sided wager rolling it off of that first period over. So, Bo, what do you look at here at this game? Two Metropolitan Division foes going at it.
Divisional matchup, it's always heated. Guys always getting each other's faces. These are big games, right? I mean, it's not a 2-point game. It's a 4-point game at the end of the day. But looking at the stats, I mean, if I look at my phone here, I'm not much of a East Conference hockey guy, but both these teams look like they're playing similar kind of hockey. And I think I'm going to go with the Flyers. I mean, like I was talking about Delorier, he's my guy. I mean, he might not fight or whatever, but he's definitely a reason why I would pick Philly, just because I like guys who fight. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not nothing to do with the game. It's just definitely more personality or something. But see how it goes. And I mean, Philly's had their tough years. I mean, they had a struggle for the last few years here, and right now they're playing about 500 hockey, so you can't complain about that. You can always expect better. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I want definitely would say Philly's going to take it. I think at the end of the day, might be a close game. I mean, they had a matchup. When was their last matchup here? Just earlier this week. And I mean, the Islanders barely, it's a 3-2 game. It's always good hockey, tight hockey. So
Philly didn't even play that well.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, right. Mm-hmm.
If Philly can show up, then I think Philly's taking it. So that's my take.
And that's the thing. Yeah, they're playing similar hockey, but they're meeting each other in the middle, right? It's the Islanders that have been struggling, playing out of character, poorly defensively, and a Flyers team, like you said, they've been for years kind of in the doldrums. Now starting to get their legs under them. Some of those younger guys getting a little bit more confident. So they're meeting halfway, playing the same style, but it's not necessarily that they're just both exactly built top to bottom exactly the same. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the Flyers, here's another situation here where the Flyers have the better stats on the back-to-back situations this year than the New York Islanders. So there's another thing that probably in their favor a little bit. Yep, 0-2 the Islanders on a back-to-back this year. Keep that in mind. Now it is Sorokin who's going to be in net. Varlamov got the start last night, but Sorokin has been up and down just like his team defensively in front of him. And Samuel Ersson will probably be in net for the Flyers. He's gotten his shit together. He's been better lately. 3-1 in his last 4 starts. He's given up 3 goals or less in most of those. So, and he is young goalie with some talent, and he's starting to play a little bit better than he did early in the season. So weird scheduling spot. Again, these two teams played earlier this week in the same building, and the Islanders won that game, and here they are again. So for me, Flyers in the draw. Going to roll with that. All right, next up, I think this is the part of the NHL breakdown that Bo will be most excited about. His Calgary Flames as they take on the Colorado Avalanche. We've got Colorado minus 170 home favorites in this game. The total sitting at 6.5, shaded to the over. That's where I'm going in this game. I think there's goals back to back. I could really see Colorado's, especially on the back-to-back in the thin air altitude. The thing is, Colorado's done this a bunch of times. So I'm not saying Calgary can't handle it. It's just Colorado's more prepared for what to expect when you're playing a back-to-back in that thin air altitude. And Calgary rarely does it. And any opponent in Denver rarely does it. So that's an advantage for Colorado. I could see them really wanting to play at a breakneck pace, try to wear down that Flames blue line during the course of the game. So definitely liking the over, and I'm not the first period over magnet that Alex P. Smith is, but even I've got to jump something on this first period over that's going on with Calgary right now. It is just absolutely remarkable how many goals we're seeing in the first period of Calgary games lately. I mean, we're seeing 2-1, 2-0, 1-1. We're just seeing goals galore in the first 20 minutes right now of these Calgary games. Now, shop around. I see minus 150 at DraftKings and Bet365 for over 1.5 in the first period. If you don't feel comfortable laying a price like that, you could go to over 2 at a plus money elsewhere. So keep that in mind. But yeah, definitely I like goals early and probably goals often. And I'm actually going to split this one up, which I don't often do. But first period and full game over for me here with the Flames and the Avalanche. And this, as far as the side goes, Calgary's off a huge comeback win against Dallas. Colorado's off a win against Minnesota last night. They both have to travel to Denver. I don't know if I want to step in front of Colorado, though. They're starting to really get their game where they need it to be. But at the same time, I don't want to lay minus 170 with Colorado either. That big of a price, considering Calgary's recent short-term upswing here the last few games. Alex, what do you think here? Flames, Avs.
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, first period over. But we got to be a little careful with this. So now you chopping around. We're seeing 1.5 around the 150 to 160 range, or you can get 2 plus 105, plus 110 a couple shots. I have no problem taking 2 right now if that's what the way you wish to play it. You can go with over 2. I'm going to wait and grab 1.5 in game. I'm looking for something around minus 145 or better. So that should be about a 3 or 4 minute scoreless window. I'm also going to take both teams to score pregame at plus 135. That's the play I like the most. Like I said, because Colorado, they've been hot as well right now. 4-1 the last 5 games. Actually 5-2 the last 7 to the first period over. So you add that in with Calgary's 11-2 run. Definitely liking goals. Excuse me. Definitely liking. Now my throat's fucking up. Definitely liking goals early in the first period.
I didn't know my germs could spread across the universe through the screen.
A border and the internet, and still getting it. Calgary, Colorado. So both teams to score first period. You can grab first period over 2 if you really like that, but I would honestly advise to wait. Grab a 1.5 at 145 or better. Lay that price, and then, like I said, you're protected at both ends, and you can just keep on rolling. That's the only thing I like here. I don't even like anything on the side, or maybe a lean with a draw here. I could see where Colorado, maybe they say coming back home, they play a little bit slower. Calgary, they can't keep that full pace back and forth if Colorado's got their A game going offensively. So they would need to slow things down too. So maybe a lean with maybe a live look with a draw after the first period.
All right, good stuff indeed. Bo, the floor is yours. Your Calgary Flames taking on Colorado.
Oh, my big Flames here. I mean, after last night, I don't know what to expect. It depends who's going to show up tonight and who's sleeping on the bench tonight. But, I mean, in all honesty, after last night, I don't know what to expect from the Flames. I know that they're going to keep rolling. They're going to ride the high. Stay up when you're on top, you're on top. So let's keep rolling with that. But the team itself, I mean, I think we got to start handing the reins over to some younger guys, more like Zari or Coronado, and maybe keep Wolf up in the system a little bit longer, because I think that's where Calgary needs to be right now. I don't think the winning is important. I think they got to develop a little bit. But for the game tonight, I don't know where I stand. I know as a Flames fan, I want to say they're going to win, but Colorado is just, I mean, they're a different animal regardless. I mean, every time we head down to Denver, it's always a tough night for the Flames. So hopefully Makar and their boys are a little tired.
Sounds like you'll just cheer them on as a fan. You don't feel good about picking them to win tonight. Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm standing. As a fan, I want them to win. As a bettor, I don't know, because I mean, Makar and that Colorado squad they're always a tough team at home. So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm guessing, Bo, that you keep it true to the fact, you never fade your team, even if you feel like they may have a night where they're probably going to lay an egg, but you're not one to rush and bet the other side there, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm a Flames fan through and through every day. I mean, if I'm going to lose my money, I'll lose my money loud and proud, but I still know that I'm going to be losing at the end of the day. So
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with either train of thought, or also when you're a fan of a team and you do put your money on against them. There's nothing wrong with. To me, there's nothing wrong with that either, because it's just business. Doesn't mean you don't love them. For us, it's just business.
I love my Blackhawks through and through, but I will bet against them in a heartbeat if I think the price is right.
There you go. Fair enough, because it's just business. Yeah, that's what we always say. Just business. No doubt. Sharon Govich and Nichushkin. Okay, one player prop on each side. Those are the hot commodities. Those are and the Chushkin, didn't come through last night, but back home, Calgary tired on a back-to-back. Calgary 0-2, by the way, on a back-to-back this year. Go back to the well with the over 1.5 points for Val. Didn't come through last night, and certainly to score a goal and get an assist. Like I found his goal prop last night, which did cash, plus 325 at bets 365. So that was just, wow. It's still north of plus 300 at some spots with his goal prop, with the way he's going right now for Colorado. Valerie Nichushkin, very impressive, no doubt. And like I said, Sharon Govich, I think worth a look for Calgary as well. All right, we got 2 games left. Next up, Arizona, Vegas. Vegas minus 240 home favorites here, 6 the total in this game. Obviously, you've got the Vegas Golden Knights obviously having a very good season. They went through a little rough patch there for a little bit, no question, but they seem to shake themselves out of it. They had a nice win against Dallas earlier this week. We'll see how they fare here against the Arizona Coyotes. It is worth noting here for this game here with Arizona and Vegas. These are the very 2 teams, the only 2 teams that didn't play yesterday on Black Friday. So both of them are off since Wednesday was the last time they played. So no rest advantage here. Both teams on 2 days rest. Again, Coyotes and Golden Knights, the only 2 teams to not play yesterday. But Arizona, 3 straight losses for them. They lose to Winnipeg, LA, and St. Louis. That St. Louis game was just a wild one, back and forth. Very little, if any, defense. We'll see if they're trying to tighten things up here in this game against the Vegas Golden Knights. In Vegas, by the way, it is worth noting, 2 of the last 3 head-to-head meetings have gone over. Don't really have too much here with these 2 teams. Arizona's kind of struggling right now. The puck, keeping it out of their net's been a bit of an issue for them in their last 4 losses. They've given up 4 or more goals in each game. That's not what you want to see when you're playing, obviously, a team like the Vegas Golden Knights, who, again, they went through a little funk there, losing 5 of 7, 2 and 5, before beating Dallas in overtime, 2-1 the other night. We'll see how it goes. Vegas is definitely dominated here at T-Mobile against the Coyotes. Coyotes are 0-9, by the way, in their last 9 trips to Las Vegas. So not what you want to see. As far as this game goes, it's going to be probably a pass for me. I mean, not even the draw is tough to get to because Arizona's just having a hard time defensively. And like I said, it's just not what you want when you're taking on this Vegas team. So really, it's a pass, side and total in this game. Alex, Coyotes and Golden Knights.
Yeah, and John Massey mentioned it in the chat. Arizona first period might be the only thing that looks decent here because first period over, obviously that jumped to my eyes with Arizona. Arizona's in the top 4 right now as far as first period overs go. But then you got Vegas, first period under the Kings. And then even when you look in the matchups of these 2, a lot of lower scoring games, 1-0, couple 3 of the last 5 meetings have actually been scoreless. So, you're playing law averages, like I said, bad Arizona offense in form right now against a good early defense for Vegas and historically a good early defense for Vegas. So I'm staying away from everything first period other than Arizona money line, just off of the fact that Vegas looking so bad on the East Coast and now finally coming home. Like I said, they did have the day off, didn't have to play, yesterday, but maybe their legs are a little heavier than even everybody else's. The other people, they had Thanksgiving and then they had to go right back at it with an early game or right back at it with a night game. Now you had 2 days off. So maybe we see a little bit slower legs for Vegas, a little bit more of a business-like approach coming in on the road against Arizona, as you mentioned, where they struggled in this building. So hopefully, those guys who've been in there who lost 3 or 4 times, maybe say, hey, we got to right the ship here and let's get off to a hot start. So I'm going to go with the Coyotes first period. That's the only thing I'm looking at. First period money line for Arizona. Bo, what do you like in this game? Arizona and Vegas, like I said, former division rivals, of course, but Vegas, like I said, didn't look good in, the East Coast trip. I mean, I got burned twice. I had Vegas in a couple of games. I get shut out by Alex Nedeljkovic and Charlie Lindgren, of all people. So what do you think? You think Vegas can kind of settle it now being back at home?
I think Vegas at home is always a dangerous team. I mean, every team that travels there's the Vegas effect, I mean, I've played against I've been in Vegas myself, playing UNLV, and just the city itself can drain you just being there. So I think
tell me
if you're there all the
time, in there a bunch, yeah.
I've had some tough nights in Vegas myself, especially on the road with my team, but that's a different story than what we're talking about right now. But no, I think Vegas is going to wake up. I think they're going to come in and they're going to pump Coyotes' eyes shut, I think, at the end of the day. You could look at Vegas, probably, I'd say they're going to score 3-4 tonight. They're going to be hot and heavy because I think after, like you said, they're getting shut out. They got something to prove. They got their home fans, and that atmosphere in Vegas it's a great place. I mean, that rink, their fans. Yep. People say Vegas is not an NHL city, but when you go and see a game live, that's an NHL city. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That myth is long gone now. They are definitely for sure enshrined as a hockey city without question. One thing I want to mention too about Connor Ingram starting in net, it's interesting. He's 6-3, and you could kind of argue and say that he's been playing a little bit better form-wise than Karel Vejmelka. Vejmelka's in the bottom 10 as far as goals allowed above average. So when you start looking at that, that's something to keep in mind now, and that's one of the adjustments I'll have to be making in my goalie charts is that Ingram's not as bad as we thought he was, especially toward late last season, the middle of last season. He had a real rough run where we were just fading him, seemed like every game. Yep. He's bounced from that, but Karel Vejmelka has definitely taken that step back, which is not shocking to me at all. I've seen this coming for a while, but to others, it might be a little bit more shocking. And so it's something that you have to make a note of when looking especially at totals regarding the Coyotes moving forward.
That's right. I agree. I think if you're looking at totals, if you're going to look, which goalie would you prefer an under with for Arizona right now? It's Ingram. And it's an over with Vejmelka right now based on their form. Like Ingram's numbers are solid, 2.94 goals against, 910 save percentage. So there's been nothing wrong with the way. Well, he's had a couple bad starts, but no, he's had more good than bad, more solid starts than not. So right now he's probably outplayed Vejmelka a little bit in net for Arizona. No question about that. So maybe that's another reason why Alex thinks maybe at least in the first 20 minutes, Arizona can get the jump here on the Vegas Golden Knights in this one. All right, Vancouver, San Jose, final game of this card. By the way, one last thing about Calgary, Colorado. It looks like it could be a Prosvetov-Vladar battle in net there because of, again, Markstrom. Vladar's had a tough year. He's had a really, really tough year. He's given up 3 goals in every start. And, Prosvetov, he's not someone we trust fully either. So that could be
in saying that. In saying that, I would probably now advise people to maybe go on and grab first period over 2. Maybe, we may not have time to wait for first period over adjusted. So first period over 2 now with that confirmation, that's definitely something to hit that point.
Now, it should be pointed out, neither has been confirmed, but we can suggest with the back-to-back, it's probably what it's going to be.
That makes sense.
Prosvetov against, and the last time we saw Prosvetov in the start against Seattle, he gave up 4 goals. And Vladar has given up at least 3 in every start he's made this year for Calgary. He's not had that same year he had last year, where he's actually better than Markstrom early last year for the Flames, but hasn't played that well this year for Calgary. All right, Vancouver, San Jose. Vancouver minus 280 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. This is becoming a thing with San Jose. They play Blackwood, and they can keep the puck out of their net at a little better clip, and they give themselves a better chance to win. Now, they still lost yesterday, 3-2 to Montreal, but at least they gave themselves a chance. They're in the game. Blackwood's not brutal, and he's certainly been better than Kaapo Kähkönen for the San Jose Sharks this year. But obviously, with this being a back-to-back for San Jose, we expect Kaapo Kähkönen in net. And when that happens, I think San Jose's worse. They're probably going to give up more goals, and they're going to have a much lesser chance to win because there is a drop-off, at least in my opinion right now, between Blackwood and Kähkönen. I'm probably going to bet a little bit on over 3.5, minus 150 here for the Vancouver Canucks team total. That's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really feel strongly about side or total at the current price. You do worry for Vancouver back-to-back after a win in the border rivalry against Seattle last night. Do you put the focus where it needs to be, beat a team you should beat? Keep in mind, Vancouver just played San Jose recently in Vancouver, and even though they've dummied San Jose here in San Jose over the years, that 10-1 game early in November here in San Jose, and then they've had certainly some beatdowns over this team. They've owned this team. It was only 3-1 in Vancouver for the Canucks last weekend when they played. But looks like it's going to be Kokkonen for the Sharks in net. We assume Casey DeSmith will be in net for Vancouver after we saw Thatcher Demko get the start against Seattle. So for me, probably just a look at the team total here for Vancouver, over 3.5, minus 155. Not a great price, but I think especially if Kokkonen plays as I expect, there's been a notable difference between him and Blackwood, especially lately. Blackwood has actually been decent, okay? As much as I'm not a big Blackwood fan either, he's been decent. He's been okay. And there's been some games he stood on his head and given them a chance to win, turning back the clock, making it look like he's Marty Brodeur in his prime. That's not the case at all with Kokkonen. He has just been rough almost in every single game. So if Kokkonen is confirmed in net, I'll be looking at a Vancouver team total over in this one. Alex, final game. What do you think here? Vancouver, San Jose.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep this one simple as well. Just go with both teams to score in the first period. We've seen some high trends here with, first period overs. Obviously, like I said, Canucks dominating in this series. 4-0, 3-1, 2-1, 2-1, a couple of others. So we're looking at 8-2 last 10 to the first period over. But like I said, with that, I think we can get some goal, at least a goal from San Jose, and get that little bit of value. So I would maybe split a unit between both. First period over 1.5, and also grab both teams to score at that plus 150 price. I'm getting that in MGM. And I do want to make a note as people are talking about this in the chat. I'm not sure still what's going on, but FanDuel is still having some issues. Some people are having issues not seeing anything opening or unlocked with FanDuel. So, try and wait for that a little bit later. I know, like I said, that's a book we like to use for regulation draws. Maybe keep up and see what's going on with that. Otherwise, you might have to place that somewhere else. So just a note I wanted to make of that. But first period over here with Canucks and Sharks, both teams to score in the first period. That's definitely something I would be looking at. And $1.55. I think we may be able to wait and grab that at a better in-game price around $1.40, $1.35. You don't want to wait too late. So give that about 2 or 3 scoreless minutes. Grab something live with that first period.
All right, there you go. So first period, both teams to score, especially Alex liking that here for Vancouver, San Jose. Bo, final game. What do you think here? Canucks, Sharks.
I think, Alex is dead on. Both teams score in the first, but the Canucks I expect them to roll this team. I mean, San Jose has had an understatement. If you want to say it's a tough year, that's they almost look like an American League team some nights. And then what do you do, right? So Vancouver this season came out hot and steady. I mean, they're kind of shocking the world right now with after last season coming into how they're playing now. So I think, take Vancouver all the way and both teams score in the first. Like Alex said, I think it's a good call and see how it goes. But Vancouver's going to kick ass 100%. So,
yeah,
and you know what? We don't talk about
the run.
Yeah.
But how do you disagree with this run of 15-1? I mean, when you look back at that, and we're talking about Vancouver teams that weren't that great for a while either. Like this is now Vancouver's best team, arguably in that 15-1, or at least with the majority of that 15-1 straight up run. So that's the other thing that's kind of concerning if you're a Sharks fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We talk about, a lot of team totals, mostly overs, but that's a great point, micro producer. And look, the Sharks team total for this game under 2.5, it's only minus 120, minus 125 in a lot of spots. So in 17 of the last 20 games, the Sharks have scored 2 goals or less.
Good find.
So there's I might put a couple bucks on that. You're right, because they have been especially, and Casey DeSmith's not a stiff, he's capable of playing well. He hasn't been that bad this year. Obviously, Demko's been outstanding. He's been exceptional, but DeSmith can play. He's a capable backup, and it's not like San Jose has that offensive potency that we really trust on them to score night in and night out. Great stuff. You know what, Bo? You've been on. It's a long show on these Saturdays, especially when we have guests. We appreciate it. You hanging in there for over an hour, but we'll let you go before we wrap up the show. Alex and I, thank you for doing this. Enjoy your game tonight, and good luck. Hope the team gets the job done. If you had to give out a favorite pick or a best bet, Bo, on tonight, what would it be?
Best bet?
Yeah.
I gotta go check these matchups again. We went 8 games. We went over.
Yeah. Montreal.
And now we're looking
Toronto, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, New Jersey, Philly Islanders, Calgary, Colorado, Arizona, Vegas, Vancouver, San Jose. Of that group, what do you like most?
I'd say Vegas, Vegas, yeah. What over? What's their over on the goals? I can't even see it. Let's see all odds.
Team total, I'll give you that. Vegas team total over 3.5. There you go, minus 125.
Yeah.
I think that's a close one. I think I would go with that. I mean, I've been enjoying Vegas's hockey recently, and like you said, a net for Arizona is going to be yeah. Let's go Vegas on the over, and I'm going to go agree with this comment in the chat. If you could, I'd say the Delaware to fight. That'd be a great bet too.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, exactly. That would be good indeed. All right, there you go. Vegas team total over 3.5. Who had that comment? You said someone did.
It says nobody's Nerfic. It says Delaware to fight. So
there you go. All right, there you go. Yeah, there it is. Delorier to get into a fight. Yeah, I wish I could bet that. I know, I really wish, because there's definitely some teams that Delorier plays where it's like there's definitely someone on the other side where if they are on the ice together at the same time, the gloves are coming off. It's going to happen. So I wish there were more props for as far as fights are concerned, no doubt. All right, so there it is. Vegas team total over for Bo with his best bet. Appreciate it, man. The Jawbreaker, Bo Cornell, at Jawbreaker Bo on X, Twitter. You can follow him on there. Bo, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
enjoy the rest of the weekend. Good luck to you.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, thanks a lot, Bo. Enjoy it. Good stuff. There he is, our guest on the Saturday edition. And find him at an Ice Wars event near you, hopefully.
Yeah.
Very soon. He'll be back the next time they have an event with that. Look, we do have some issues with the YouTube memberships right now. And apparently, from what I saw yesterday, it prevented people from clicking posts in the community tab that were marked members only. So, at the moment, we'll make things public for now. And I'm talking to the YouTube folks early in the week, and we'll get this ironed out. At least attempt to, that's for sure. So we'll make the posts public, okay, for the betting card and for the player props today and for the next few days until we get this sorted out. It's a pain in the ass, definitely, but we will definitely, especially when you're ill and now you got to deal with this. But we'll definitely take a look at it. And we are looking forward to hopefully getting that going again. But we'll make the post public. No question about that. And until we get that sorted out. And remember, the Patreon page is still there too. So everything will be posted there daily as well. But we'll keep that going. And a reminder about the betcast as well. Tuesday night, November the 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully I'm feeling a little better by then. But looking forward to the betcast Tuesday night. Public free for all, our monthly betcast. Looking forward to it. Certainly Tuesday night, lots of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a grand old time. And like I said, we've had a couple of betcasts that were for members only, but now we get everybody back in the pool, and that should be a good time. And a lot of great games. Like I said, we kind of moved that date around, and we picked that 28th because there's some really good matchups. So hopefully everybody will be able to join us with that. Like I said, also a Patreon page. I will definitely have the goalie charts done by no later than tomorrow morning. So by the time we're on the air again tomorrow, there will be goalie charts updated at the Patreon page, $10 a month, patreon.com/iceguys. Like I said, all the written content we'll have over there. We will have stuff free for the weekend for those who have been on the Ice Guys YouTube page with all the family plan issues. But definitely want to check out, like I said, that's the reason why we kept both running, is because YouTube can be whatever. And then also Patreon, that's the best platform for all of our writing content. So you can catch that and get all of that done as well. Chris Otto's charts, I put those up overnight last night as soon as he sent those out. So you can always get those updated at the Patreon page as well. And also check out the Ice Guys store. Hopefully you guys didn't miss out on the big Black Friday 30% off yesterday, but there's still plenty of merch available there at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, no doubt. Check out the store. No question about that. Get yourself some Ice Guys merch. Yeah, the main difference with Patreon and the family plan is any full written content would go on Patreon only. That's the main thing. The goalie charts, the power ratings. I'm going to start posting my NHL articles too on Patreon as well, the ones that I write weekly. So we'll post those up there. And then the family plan is where basically it's going to be the card is available on both. And the family plan is where we're also going to have the video stuff. We'll post the link too on Patreon. But the main difference is written content is Patreon only.
Right. And it was just making it easier for us to streamline a lot of the things that we have offered, like the player suite and like I said, bringing up impromptu things, doing just kind of live pop-up stuff. So we were trying to use that platform. So if we have to, switch it all back to Patreon at some point. We will let you guys know what all is going to be happening with things moving forward in that realm of the family plan and the Patreon packages.
No doubt. Yeah, once we finish this show, I got to admit, we're powering through it. We're not feeling great, as you can tell, but I'm looking forward. We'll get the cards sent out to all my Dub Club members. We'll post the Patreon and Ice Guys community tab card as well for the hockey today from Alex and I. And then I'm looking forward to just lying down and just relaxing, trying to get better, and tea and honey and a little beer too. I'm still drinking, even though we're under the weather, and just lie down and watch a shit ton of college football,
Dark
NHL,
liquor.
you name it.
Couple shots of dark liquor and there we go.
I'm absolutely going to go for some of that for sure. All right, and tomorrow we'll be on at noon Eastern as well. And like I say, the good news is tomorrow Sunday shows are very short. It's always a small card, so it'll be a nice short show. We've got it looks like 5 games on tap tomorrow, so we will be on at noon Eastern tomorrow with the Sunday show. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night for this Saturday card. Lots to choose from. No question about it. As always, yesterday we used Cole Perfetti. And you know what's unfortunate is I ended up, I only saw later in the day that Valerie Nichushkin was like over plus 300 at Bet365. I didn't see that on the show. So it would have been best bet, bargain bin criteria, would have met bargain bin criteria. Had I seen that it was plus 325 during the show. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But we are going to go with another option for a bargain bin special. And we're going to go, and this price is unbelievable. We can get it in that very same game tonight, Calgary, Colorado. It's a guy we talked about earlier, Igor Sharangovich, Calgary Flames, plus 500 at FanDuel to score a goal tonight. So that is just remarkable price right now for a guy that is playing in the top 6, playing on the power play, certainly having his share of confidence right now. Had a 3-point night for the Calgary Flames last night in their comeback win against the Dallas Stars. He is definitely feeling it and getting things going with Lindholm and Mangiapane on that top line. 3 goals in the last 4 games for Igor Sharangovich. And again, FanDuel, you can find him at plus 500 to score a goal tonight against Colorado. So that is definitely the number one bargain bin special of the night option for me, as far as I'm concerned. Alex, do you have anything in the bargain bin tonight?
Yeah, going to look out to out west, that Vegas, Arizona game. And I'm going to take a bit of a shot. Matias Michelli on that second power play line, top of the line, looking for him to get a power play point at plus 425. Shop around for that. I'm seeing that at BetMGM. There's a little bit higher prices for those in Canada. You get 440, 450s at the score, but 425 at BetMGM is the highest North American price I'm seeing. So Matias Michelli to get a power play point, plus 425. That's my shot for a bargain bin special.
All right, there you go. Matias Michelli, power play point for Arizona, plus 425. And I just double checked. Yeah, FanDuel's got plus 500. That is no typo. That is indeed plus 500 for Sharangovich over at FanDuel. Quite the price for a guy that scored in 3 of the last 4 games. So very impressive price there. We'll take advantage of that for sure with our bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets here to wrap up this Saturday edition of the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
We're going to go with Colorado and Calgary. Both teams to score in the first period. Like I said, you can grab that at plus 135 at BetMGM. So shop around and see that it's going to be around between plus 135. Can't imagine anything higher than plus 150, but anything in that range, certainly worth taking with Calgary, this hot first period overrun. Like I said, we're definitely looking for that first period over, but we want to get that in game at a little bit better of a price. Also grab a little bit of 2 just in case to back ourselves up. So we got a couple of things going with the first period, but the play I like the most would be both teams to score. So Avalanche Flames, both teams to score in the first period, plus 135. That's my Saturday best bet.
All right, there you go. Both teams to score. First period at a nice plus price for Calgary, Colorado. Best bet for Alex P. Smith in this one. My best bet for this Saturday card. And look, best bets have been kind of stumbling for me lately, just like my health has been stumbling lately. So it's very appropriate. But nevertheless, man, sucks being sick. But let's go with I almost have the guts to use Buffalo as a best bet, but I'm not going to. I'll do Toronto, Pittsburgh over instead. Leafs and Penguins over 6.5 minus 120. We'll go with that for best bet. Honorable mention. I'll make two best bets. Let's do two best bets. I can't choose between them. Best bet side, best bet total. Buffalo, I think, is live at the underdog price against a slumping New Jersey Devils team, plus 155 for Buffalo against New Jersey. And we'll go with Toronto, Pittsburgh over 6.5 minus 115 as well. So there you go. A double shot of best bets for today. Buffalo plus 155 and Toronto, Pittsburgh over 6.5 minus 115. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, we've only got a couple weeks left of 3 p.m. Monday shows this week, and then next week, actually 3 weeks, because we have 3 more times when I have the college football show before the Monday Ice Guys show. So once we get to mid-late December, it'll be back to 2 p.m. Every week, Eastern time with Mondays. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, Crosby with the props right now, Paco. I don't mind that at all. Crosby, he's on fire right now for the Penguins, no doubt. So the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, noon Eastern, and Sunday noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys.